Hello students, today we will be starting chapter 2 of class 7 physics, that is force and pressure motion. The first topic that we'll study in this chapter is rest and motion. An object is said to be at rest if it does not change its position with time. As you see in the figure, there is a tree and a car. They both are standing still at their positions and do not change their position. They will remain where they are. This is known as rest position, when the object does not move from its place to some other place with the passing time. Motion. An object is said to be in motion if it changes its position with time. Now see figure B. In figure B, the car which was near the tree in the beginning has now moved forward. Its position has changed with time. So the car which is moving now and has changed its position is said to be in motion. The different objects around us move in different ways. They show different ways of motion, and those different ways are known as types of motion. Different objects shows different types of motion. First type is translatory motion. The translatory motion is that type of motion in which each part of the object moves the same distance in given time. If one part of the object is covering certain distance, every part of the object will cover the same distance. Translatory motion is of two types. The first type is rectilinear motion. When an object shows translatory motion along a straight line path, then it is said to be in rectilinear motion. That is, the path on which the body is moving is a straight line. For example, a car running on a straight road without any curve in between represents a rectilinear motion. The next type of motion is curvilinear motion. The translatory motion of an object along a curved path is referred to as curvilinear motion. When an object moves along a path which is curved, then the motion is curvilinear. For example, when a runner runs on a curved track, the runner represents the curvilinear motion. Similarly, a paper aeroplane when flies in the air shows curvilinear motion. Next type of motion is circular motion. When an object moves along a circular path, then the object is said to possess circular motion. Now, what is a circular path? A round path which is in the shape of a circle is called a circular path, and when the object is moving on that circular path, object is said to possess circular motion. For example, the movement of Earth around the Sun. Earth moves around the Sun in an orbit which is almost circular in shape, and that is why the revolution of Earth is around the Sun is said to be circular motion. The next type of motion is rotational motion. When an object spins about or turns about a fixed axis, it is called rotational motion. Like Earth rotates on its axis, Earth is said to be in rotational motion at that time. Similarly, a spinning top and a potter's wheel, they also show rotational motion. They are examples of rotational motion. Oscillatory motion is the next type of motion. What is oscillatory motion? If an object moves in a to and fro motion about its mean position, then it is said to be in oscillatory motion. Now, what do you mean by to and fro motion? To and fro motion means left to right motion, going left, then to right, then left, then right, or forward, backward. This sideways motion is known as to and fro motion. For example, when you are sitting on a swing, the motion of a swing is to and fro. You go forward and backward, forward and backward. Sideways you are moving. This is known as oscillatory motion. The swinging face of a table fan, it also moves from one side to another side. This also shows oscillatory motion. Random motion is next type of motion. It is the most common type of motion that we see around us. Random motion is when an object moves in any direction and the direction keeps on changing continuously, then that motion is called random motion. For example, a bird flying in the air. A bird flying in the air does not follow one particular direction and it keeps on changing the directions. This type of motion is known as random motion. Motion of a fish swimming underwater is random. A fish does not follow some particular direction or does not change it at particular time. It keeps on changing continuously. This is random motion. The next type of motion is repetitive motion. A motion which repeats itself is called repetitive motion. From the word repetitive itself, we see that motion will repeat itself. So motion which keep on repeating is called repetitive. It is of two types. First type is periodic motion. A motion which repeats itself after fixed interval of time is called periodic motion. That is, time is fixed for its repetition. For example, revolution of Earth around the Sun. Earth completes one revolution in 365 and 1/4 days. After that, it's repeat its revolution around the Sun. So it is periodic motion. The next type of repetitive motion is non-periodic motion. That is opposite of periodic. That is, for non-periodic motion, the time is not fixed for repetition. It does not repeat at regular intervals. It can repeat any time. For example, swaying of the branches of the tree. The trees can sway, or the branches of the trees can sway at any time. There is no fixed time that they will sway after this time or this much time. They can sway anytime. This is non-periodic motion. These were the different types of motion that we have studied. Now there are certain objects which show more than one type of motion at the same time. These different types of motion which are present in an object at the same time represent combination of different type of motion. Let us now understand this topic with the help of some examples. The first example showing combination of motions is motion of the earth. The earth moves around the sun in a circular orbit, so it has circular motion. But the earth is also rotating on its axis, so it is showing rotational motion. Also, the earth repeats its rotation and revolution after a fixed interval of time, so it is having periodic motion. Thus, earth represents three types of motion at the same time: circular motion, periodic motion and rotational motion. These three types of motion represents the combination of motions. Next example is motion of a bicycle. When the bicycle is moving on a straight road, the wheel of the bicycle is rotating and also at the same time the wheel is moving forward on a straight line path. So, when the bicycle wheel is rotating, it is representing rotational motion, and when it is moving on a straight line path, it is showing rectilinear motion. Thus, it represents a combination of two types of motion. We have learned today about rest, motion, different types of motion and combination of motions. We will continue the chapter further. Till then, study the topics that have been explained till now. Thank you.